First, we determine the limits of each of the variables so that we determine the volume of the tetrahedron, which is cut from the first octant. We have been given this equation. So, in the first octant, x varies from 0 to this solving this equation for x. So, let's solve this equation for x. First, we subtract this term y by 9 and z by 10 on both sides. So we get x by 8, and this equals 1 minus y by 9 minus z by 10. And so we multiply both sides by 8. And so therefore we get 8 times of this expression, that is 1 minus y by 9 minus z by 10. So this is the upper bound of x, or the upper limit of x, and the lower limit of each of the variables is going to be 0, because we are finding the volume only in the first octant. So this one is the lower bound of x. Now, to determine the limit for the y variable, we consider the lower limit equals 0, and then we consider the part of the equation just by removing the x by 8. So we will have only y by 9 plus z by 10. This equals 1, and we have to solve for y to determine the upper bound of y. So first I subtract z by 10 from this equation, which gives 1 minus z by 10. Now multiplying both sides by 9, I get y, and so this equals 9 times of 1 minus z by 10. So this one is the upper bound for y of y, and 0 is the lower bound. Now let's determine the lower bound and upper bound of z. The lower bound is going to be 0, since we determine the volume in the first octant. And for to determine the upper bound, we consider only the part of the equation. Having taken care of the x and y, we then have only z by 10 equals 1. So from this, we should solve for z. And we multiply by 10 on both sides, which gives z equals 10. So this is the upper bound for z. This one is upper bound of z. Now let's set up the iterated integral. So this one, first here we write the lower limit and upper limit of x. The lower limit of, in fact, for all the variables it is 0. So I put 0. And for the upper bound of x, we utilize this expression. So this is the upper bound of x. So it is 8 times of 1 minus y by 9 minus z by 10, and here we put the upper bound of y, which is 9 times of 1 minus z by 10. So this one is 9 times of 1 minus z by 10, and here we put the upper bound of z, which is 10. So this one is done, and then we finally put dx dy dz, dx dy dz. So this is the iterated integral, which gives the volume of the tetrahedron in the first octant. And this means answer choice C is correct.